Hi, everybody. Take it down an octave because this sounds so good. How are you doing? I hope everybody's doing well. Just listen to those sounds. It's just such a cool plugin. This is a new library that we just released. This is the Korg iteration of the ARP 2600. And we will be doing a comparison in a few minutes. I'll call up the Arturia and the Cherry Audio so you can hear all three of them. They're all nice synthesizers. I mean, it's not fair, but you want to hear and kind of like compare between them and go, well, you know, which one is the golden prize? And this one is it. Hey, Bill, you're on time. Wow, man. And I'm on time too, kind of. I was only like a minute late. So anyway, welcome. I have favorited some patches, so I'm just gonna play a couple of these patches. Let's stay in our kind of mellow vibe for a minute. As you can see, this is 266 patches inside of the 2600. And if you're to compare this, let's turn these off and have just the factory patches. It's 165 patches. So this is more patches in total than what this plugin ships with. And of the ones that it shipped with, if we go to the author, there's an area down here. Let's see, I wonder if I typed in ski. I bet it would just show skis patches. No, it's going to find everything that has. Anyway, Peter Schwartz is our special guest. He's going to join me in a few minutes here, and he made factory patches that are inside the 2600. There's all sorts of this poly Aftertouch pads just to die. Really, really great. But he made so many patches during the development that, you know, they didn't want to just be the Peter Schwartz 2600, so they had other programmers work on it. He had so many that he came to me and said, dude, I've got all these patches. I think they're really good. What do you think? I played them and said, No, they're great. They're incredible patches. And so just really all over the place. We call these power packs. Let me show you real quickly on my humble little website. This is sponsored by, let's go like this, and view, toolbar, never show. This is sponsored by my website, pluginguru.com, this whole production. And we have well over 100 libraries now. It's just nuts. And the newest being right here, the ARP 2600 Power Pack. And it is retailing at $42, but because it just came out, we like to do an introductory price. So it's only $29 until September 1st. There's details about Peter. There's some really cool demo songs. In a minute, Peter's going to play some of his demo songs, which is really, really cool. And then the video to walk through that I got done with and hit upload at 4:05 in the morning last night. So it's there in time for the live stream. That was the goal. So hello, Taylor's here. Yes, this live stream is going to give you reasons to upgrade your Korg collection. Yes. That is something you'll want to consider. This is a really cool version of the 2600, the guys at Korg, they put a lot, I mean, like, there's OCD, and then there's where these guys went on, because they distribute the hardware, right? So they have the real hardware sitting right next to them that they can work with and go, oh, that's what it does when it does. And then they figured out how to program that into a plugin so that when you have it set up, it sounds identical to the cookbook patches. If you go over here to these little, there's a book called the Patch Book that came out in the 70s with the 2600. And these patches, they sound just the same way they sound here, they sound on the 2600. Everything. So you can follow the programming instructions in the cookbook from 1970, and the way this resonance works, and there's all this weird stuff when it gets to the maximum point right here, and then it folds over. They programmed all of that stuff into how this works. So it's a level of programming I have not seen in a plugin before. It's one thing to like have its capabilities, but there's another thing to go, this old thing had quirks, and we're gonna make this software have the exact same quirks. It's really, really cool. So let me show you a couple other patches. There's, of course, some really, really cool. There's bong hits. We all need bong hits, man. This is a form of FM. So if you bring up the mod wheel, it will actually clean it up, and there's some killer basses. Just listen, that's beautiful. Very easy to go into kind of, that's very TB. Just disgustingly beautiful, you know? I mean, it's all there. So even one thing that's really fun is not only are there patches, but there's also the whole drum kit. There's 51 patches total, covering everything from some really, really cool. Let's get to these kicks. I got to go by name, I think, so it organizes it for me. Here's the kicks. So low C. And of course, you can go over here and mess them up and program them all to your heart's content. So it's a really cool power pack, 260 patches for the Korg version. These patches will not work in the Cherry Audio version. They will not work in the Arturia version. That would be a whole completely different format. And again, the characteristics are different in those plugins. So we'll compare that in a little bit. I think we should bring on Peter to say hello to everybody. So let me get over here to the screen. Peter Schwartz, hello, my friend.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
It's out. It's selling. Out. People are loving it. So congratulations, awesome, man.
Well, thanks again for distributing this. And let me say that of all like the sounds that, you know, like you mentioned, Korg didn't take. When you agreed to distribute this library, I went through them all, wondering like, why didn't they take that sound? That's pretty good. And then some others were like, all right, maybe that one needed a little bit of work. So, you know, I did like a critical pass of the stuff they didn't take, and then all the drum sounds are brand new. They didn't exist before, and I also added. So I think there were like 50 left after I did my culling. So of the 200, you said there were 261 in there. I didn't realize I worked that much.
There's a lot, yeah.
I mean, easily I made like 100 additional sounds. So this is like, it's a lot, and like you said, it's a power pack, so it covers a wide range of
Yes.
of styles. And I really loved when you made the filter distort a second ago.
Yeah.
It really struck me like how many different characters this 2600 can produce. The
Yeah.
distortion on it, and I'm not talking, of course, about the guitar effects like the amp distortion
Right.
effect.
Right. Right.
The natural distortion, and there are three places where you can make three or four places where you can get this thing to distort. It's a really beautiful musical distortion.
Yes.
And if everybody still remembers that sound from a couple of minutes ago in their ear, I'll play some sounds later that are like they're super clean. And when you play up in the high range, there's like zero aliasing.
Right.
So it's an incredibly flexible synthesizer. And if you think I'm enthusiastic about it, I cannot convey my enthusiasm strongly. I've been working on this since, for a long time. I got in on the ground floor when it was still beta,
Yes.
and my, I mean, you can see I've got
Yes. You
synthesizers
have a
all
few
over the place.
toys.
I have some here, I have some down there. You can't see the camera. I've been focusing on the ARP because I love it as a musical instrument so much.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I'm not Mr. Salesman. If you like my sounds, great, buy them. But from inspiration,
Right.
sonic
From a
inspiration,
sonic enthusiast of a synthesist.
and as a synthesis, it's like, oh, what would happen if can I do this and that? Oh yeah, I can.
Yes.
It's very, very flexible. So
Yeah. I have a
the
number of friends that
yeah,
have said this is the most beautiful distortion I have heard in a plugin.
yeah,
And not like you're saying, not the distortion, the overdrive effects, but internally you can overdrive it like you can a real ARP, and it
mm,
produces this organic, living, sound.
it's very organic.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
absolutely organic. Yeah. So okay, everybody knows I love it. I'll calm down now.
Well, let's talk real quick, just so people
Yeah.
know a little background about you. I was watching. You sent me that link to that MIDI organization talk. Peter has been around. This was like 1986 for the Korg DS8. Is that 85, 86?
Yeah. 80. That came out after the DX7, so yeah, around that time.
84, 85, because that's right when I moved to Seattle and started working at the music store for 3 years. And then
Okay.
I joined Korg in 88. So Jack brought you in because you had this passion for the DX7. You were one of the guys on the East Coast that really spent time, got under the skin of the FM synthesis concept, which is so different than what the ARP has, but it's another form of synthesis, and you wanted to be a specialist for the work you did in studios at the time.
That's right. The DX7 came out, nobody knew how to program it. It was the hottest thing, and I thought, okay, I was fresh out of conservatory, no longer interested in doing classical music, but I had a love for synthesis. I thought maybe I could make a niche for myself.
Yeah.
Um, so, and actually, that's the last time I sold a collection. So I got my DX7 chops together, and
Did you make a library for the DX?
I made a library for the DX when you had to sell libraries on a RAM cartridge,
Right, right.
right?
I
Um,
might have bought yours because I would love to buy cartridges for the DX7 back in the day, and so
yeah, they were this about this size, and they would plug into a slot
yes,
in the front panel
and
of the
give you
DX.
32 patches on one bank.
32 patches.
And if you were,
And
and if it,
I
you
went
had
by
the
the name
switch,
Al.
did your card have a switch to go to different banks, or was it just one bank?
Oh, I don't remember. I remember that there was a type with the switch.
Right. Yeah, I bought a couple that had
Maybe.
like four bank. So you had four banks of 32
Oh,
on one card.
those were like third-party
Right.
cartridges. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then later on, there was an expansion kit. I mean, you could literally modify your DX7 to have more RAM and more
Yeah.
features.
Right. I
And
had the E installation. But the question is this. So
E
did you
installation.
actually buy RAM cartridges to put the patches on to send to customers? So you're sending them a RAM cartridge?
sending them hardware, advertising in the local music magazine like the
Wow.
Musicians Times and some of the New York. I think I may have even advertised in Keyboard Magazine at one time.
I did
And
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
people would send in a check or a money order,
Yeah.
and I'd go to the post office, cash my money order, and send them an actual RAM cartridge. And I went by the name of Algorithms Anonymous. And so Jack Hotop, who's a very famous, legendary programmer for
Yes.
Korg, if anybody doesn't know,
Yes.
came befriended me at Sam Ash, where I was working as a keyboard salesman. And one day I found myself over at Korg headquarters in Long Island, and I wasn't quite sure what they wanted from me. And they put this DS8 in front of me, and they said, "Sell this to us." And I'm like, "Okay." And how is it different? So the DS8 was a four operator
Right.
FM.
Right.
The DX7 was six. So this is sort of like a cut down version, but it had waveforms that the DX7 didn't.
Right.
Long story short, that started my relationship with Korg and
Right.
programming synthesizers
Yeah.
and consulting on design occasionally.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah,
That's so fun.
it's been a fun ride. I'm still doing it.
I know, right? It's still a fun thing to explore these instruments, get a chance to like find their personality and pull it out. It's funny.
And, yeah, and that's exactly it. Like, okay, so you see, I have oops, hold on, I just dropped something.
Uh-oh. I
Okay,
saw a
got it back.
wobble.
Yeah, I thought it might have been my coffee.
Oh,
So I've got this thing here, which is a Korg, Maxi Korg,
yes.
right? It's it's analog. It's got oscillators. It's got filters. It's got envelope generators, amplifier.
Yeah.
Um, the mod wave, even though it's a wavetable synth, it's oscillators, filter,
Yes.
amplifier, and then lots of bells and whistles. The modular thing,
Yep.
oscillator, filter, amplifier. So
Yeah.
architecturally, these things are all the same. You could, of course, everybody's going to argue with me, but you could fairly say that all analog synthesizers are the same
Mm.
in terms of their architecture. And that's laid out very clearly on the ARP front panel. And I'll talk about that in a little while. But it's the character. It's why does one synth sound from another? Why isn't there only one synthesizer on the market
That we all use.
that we all use? Because they're all oscillators, filters, amplifiers. Because of
Yeah.
it's like guitarists. The easiest way to make an analogy is guitar. Why does somebody play a Telecaster as opposed to an SG? Because they inherently have a different sound. The
Right.
oscillators of different synthesizers have variations in the waveform, distortion characteristics, just the way the filters go meow or wow.
Right.
It's and the ARP. So it took me a while to learn the ARP character. And after I had worked on ARPs in school, and we had an electronic music lab. But I didn't end up being like an ARP guy. I was an Oberheim and a Moog guy and a PPG guy.
Right.
So it took me a while to learn the specific character of the ARP, and I realized this thing is just really, it's very musical. It doesn't always sound like a synthesizer. It doesn't have that resonant thing all the time, like you have with Moogs. Like Moogs, I can always hear the resonance even when the resonance is down. That's its character.
Right.
So yeah, it's all about the character, and this thing has a chameleon-like character.
Yeah.
And it's really great.
Yeah.
Hours of fun, truly.
Yes. And the patches are a really cool, like your own cookbook that someone can take and explore. Do you want to show us a couple patches? Do you want to do that? And
Yeah.
maybe push because he spent some time, my friends, to set it up so that he could get the interface and the sound. He can play demos. I mean, he has a dog that can stand on his front legs and like put a cherry on its nose. I mean, it's amazing what he can do.
All right. You have to pay extra to see the dog. But
okay, well, we'll talk about, okay, I'll put it in the contract. I'll put it in the contract.
That'll be a separate marketing thing. All right.
Okay.
So where do I start? All right. So first,
we got share screen.
Share screen. Like, how do you do this? Right here.
Where's the filter?
The filter.
Oh wait, we're talking cameras, not synths. Someone's asking, is there a DX7 bank of your patches for DX'd?
They have
Are they in the cloud?
they've been in the cloud for a long, 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 long time.
Oh,
Um, I don't I wouldn't know what they're called anymore.
right,
Um,
right.
but there was one that got a lot of play back in the day, and it was a split of like a Rhodes style piano in the right hand and a completely separate sound of a bass in the left hand. And at the time there was a big circuit. Like these days when you go to a wedding, like very often there's a DJ, but back in the day you would hire a wedding band, and the wedding band keyboard players didn't always they wanted to have a left hand bass,
Right.
and they wanted to have a DX7, but the DX7 naturally, the stock programs didn't give you any kind
No,
of
you have
split,
to
so
use some
I had to do a
programming
split.
tricks for key scaling and stuff.
Right. So yeah, a lot of people at weddings heard my Fender Rhodes bass split because
Right, right, right.
it was a thing. All right, so let's
Have
see.
fun.
Can
I see ya.
you see me?
Yeah.
And okay, I'm gonna switch my camera so you can see what I'm playing.
And my dog is barking, so she's trying to get a cherry on her nose, I think, or something. Hey, Athena, it's okay. Good girl.
All right, so you can see my hands.
Yeah,
Okay. And all right, so you have sound?
I have sound.
We're good to go.
Now, can you share a little what makes this patch so special? Because I love how this patch plays. It's just like,
Thank you. Well, one thing that makes it special is the Shimmer Reverb, which of course is not synthesis, but let's listen to it without it, right? Now I'll put it on.
yeah, yeah,
So, that does help it,
yes,
give it that sort of ethereal quality, but the basic sound. All right, so there are two schools of thought when making sounds. One is to let the synth speak and not use effects.
uh-huh,
Another is to enhance what the synth can do and use effects. If it sounds good, it is good. There's a place for being a purist. There's a place for not being a purist. If I have tools at my um, available here to take a sound to a next level using effects, I'm going to use it.
right.
Um, but the shimmer reverb is not an essential part of the sound. But I did want to reveal that that's adding.
Yeah, that secondary
The
bloom.
secondary. So
Yeah.
now we take that off and just listen to the. So
Now,
the basic character is still the same. I'll take off the delay too.
right. I was gonna say you can turn off the flanger too.
The flanger isn't on. Talk
Oh,
about
I
it.
see. It's wet. It's dry. Right. So it's a lot of motion.
So that's the sound what you're hearing there, and that's a fairly typical pulse width modulation sound. Um, is a little bit of a rolling thing, but there was something about the character of this which I. And by the way, I'm using Aftertouch, so if you're watching my camera, you'll see me lean in on the keys. Sometimes you'll see me go over here. It might be a little shocking sometimes to see me, but I'll be moving my mod wheel.
Okay.
So that's why I'm doing the camera view, so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So there's also a certain, I'll just call it a vibe to the vibrato oscillator. You can see here that it's outputting a triangle wave. That's the default. So when you move up the vibrato depth
Now the
slider
vibrato's down here, the green section down here in the lower
yeah.
part, just to show it on the screen for the people looking.
Right. So the default waveform for the vibrato LFO to reach the oscillators is the triangle wave, but it has a certain shape to it that I find to be very musical. So and I'm applying that using Aftertouch.
Right.
So there was just something about this sound. It's somewhat typical, but it's somewhat not. There's a little nasal kind of thing about it. And I thought, well, I love me a stereo delay.
Yes.
And I put a little bit of reverb on it. And it just,
Trying to get to where I show. And then add back in
and,
the effects, and it just comes to
and,
life.
it just sings. And again, that what I just played is without the shimmer reverb. And I think one of the things that Hans Zimmer taught us about synthesis, actually not even Hans Zimmer, we have to go back to Vangelis.
Yes.
What Vangelis taught us about synthesis is that a single oscillator can be beautiful.
Right.
And um, I think it's even
But the
more
magic
apparent.
comes from some subtle motion that gives it life, so it's not just a, eh, you know. The Vangelis thing is that there's this life in it. You hear life in the sound, and you're interacting in a unique way with it.
Yeah, exactly. And when he used two oscillator sounds, he didn't so the thing back in the day was to have it was a great thing to have two oscillators or more, OMG, in a synthesizer, and you detune them and make the thing sound really fat.
Yeah.
And of course, a Hoover, our modern day Hoover and Reese's and stuff like that, that's taking detuning to a whole other level.
Yes.
But when you have like the two oscillator sound, he didn't detune them to make them sound fat and rolling, prog rock. He had them detuned ever so slightly so that they kind of phase just a little bit. And there's a beauty in that. And that's what I was kind of hearing in this sound. So that, I mean, that's just sort of the
Yes.
progression.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, the shimmer reverb just kind of took it to a, so that's that. I just, I spend way too much time playing that. Um, because it puts me in a space.
Yeah.
Um, uh, go completely opposite end of the spectrum. So what the hell is going on here? If anybody was on the last time I was on, a couple of weeks ago,
Yeah.
um, talking about this, I came up with a sound on the spot, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm going to save that for later." And
Mm-hmm.
it turned into this. And as you can see, it sounds like, oh, wow, how do you make that sound? I'm just randomly playing notes. Zero technique involved, other than the ability to play two notes,
Right. You could use your nose.
really fast.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of randomizing going on. So even though I'm playing different notes, you can hear that the sound it's giving you a much wider range of like pitches and clangorous overtones than just the notes I'm playing. And that's from sample and hold. So here's a little bit of analysis of this patch. Every time you play a note, you generate a gate signal. When you play a note, the gate goes high, and when you release the note, the gate goes low. I'm using that to clock the sample and hold. So every time I play a note, oh, so yeah, that's what this patch cord is here, this purple guy.
Right.
And then so I'm not clocking it like normally sample and hold, it's got a built-in clock, and there's one here too. But I'm getting the sample and hold to sample the output of noise, which is pre-wired. every time I play a note. And then the output of sample and hold, let's trace this cable, right? Sample and hold output is going into this really cool thing. It's an input to the vibrato LFO. So it's going to replace the LFO waveform. Um, but it's going the what it's going to distribute this signal to all the places that the vibrato waveform would normally go,
Right.
right?
So when you see where it says vibrato at the different places in the interface, you can just crank it up, and now you have random for the for the vibrato LFO.
Right. And if I turn this off, okay, let's take this apart a little bit further. Um, what's the well, that's the phase. And it's still sounding a bit alieny. So what's that? Well, it's the ring mod. I mean, it's obvious it's on.
Right. So now you're getting back to a more basic normal.
It's
right.
It's pretty darn normal.
Right. But then the ring modulator as effect 2, as you see, he turned on effect 2 over here.
Right. Now the ring mod, it's funny.
Now, one cool trick to show people, Peter, go hit the effects button on the tab, because on the right side of this interface, you see the effects, but when you hit the effects tab, each of these effects will now pop up with additional parameters if they exist. So you can get into.
Yeah. It's a little bit deceptive. Like some of these effects have more parameters than you see on the initial GUI.
Right. So
some more than others.
Like you have MIDI note affecting the oscillator mode, so that is tracking what you play on the keyboard, which is
right. Now
something you normally can't do with the audio effect.
You normally cannot do that. But they have. It's funny. This is something I wanted in the Korg ring modulators since the wave state. I've always thought, wouldn't it be cool if you could somehow get the ring modulator effect to track MIDI notes? Like, how hard could it be? And then the mod wave worked on that. I had the same sort of, thing on my wish list. Like, how about MIDI note to the, drive? And then some other stuff that I've worked on. It's like, wouldn't it be cool if you could tune the ring mod with MIDI note? And then this thing comes out. and it's right there in black and white. And I'm like, oh, wow, they finally did it. It was like the one feature request that I didn't get in. And sure enough, they built it in. I only found out the other day from the guys at R&D that feature has been in the Korg ring modulator since the wave state, and I just missed it. But it's there, and it's super useful because ring mod sounds can be really cool. But as probably most of you know, sometimes that really cool sound only exists on one note.
Right.
Now you can get the all right, it may not be that obvious. Oh, here.
There you go.
So, and without it, it's a completely different effect, and it's a cool effect, but so anyway, all those crazy things went into making this, and the pitch wheel does some really wild stuff. So anyway, enough with alien speak and spell. Let's see what else. Let me turn this off so I don't see as much. Okay. You may say, okay, it's a pad, but it's a really beautiful pad because of the sound of this instrument. And with 2 octaves. it's buttery.
Yes, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it can be really clean. And now let's go to the opposite end of the spectrum. Oh, this one's even good. There we go.
There you go. Clangorous.
You know,
little problem with that space shuttle, I think.
So yeah, there's just okay. So here's one. I was debating whether to include this because from a programming point of view, there's just not a whole lot going on, right? It's like the complexity of the patch chords belies the simplicity of this patch. Oh, now, by the way, there's a lot of latency, so I may not be able to play this in time. There's latency when I'm broadcasting over Zoom. So now yeah, I'm not going to be able to play this in time. But the point is that it's just, it creates a mood.
Yes. And it's a simple sound, so it's not too hard to modify it.
Right. All right, let me play a chord and let's modify it.
Now, say you wanted a sawtooth instead of the square wave. Can you show how would you take the sawtooth output and where would you plug that?
Right. So, yeah. So let's look at the.
So you have two oscillators, VCO1
I have two
and
oscillators. 2. Yeah. So, I mentioned before I would just talk about the architecture.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's pretty typical. The red boxes are your oscillators. These blue boxes are filters. The front panel is laid out as the ARP was, which reflects the traditional way that synthesizer signal flow has been represented from the earliest days. Sound source on the left, sound modifier in the middle, loudness modifier on the right. So oscillator 1, oscillator 2, oscillator 3. I'm using two oscillators here, and you can tell because these faders are up and because those faders on the bottom show that VCO1 and VCO2 are normaled to them respectively.
Right.
Here's a fader for VCO3, which I'm not using. And the default patch or the normal behind the scenes wire that's connected from this oscillator to this fader is the square output.
Right.
So this is why I didn't do this.
Because it's already done.
Right. So if I wanted to use a sawtooth wave instead, I just click and hold and drag.
There you go.
Ta-da.
And then if you did that with oscillator 2, where it says
do that
saw,
with oscillator 2.
Now you've replaced it. Yep.
I'm not going to try and fight the latency here.
Yeah, it's too hard.
There's the difference, right?
Rep, there's a square wave.
Squarey. Come on.
Sawtooth.
I think I have a little, there we go. Can you guys see my oscilloscope?
Yep.
You know what? Let's turn off the thingy.
Uh-huh. Little science 101.
And there's your sawtooth waves.
And you see the two oscillators dancing.
Yeah. If I turn one off.
Yeah.
There's some sort of noise.
I think there's delay.
there's some noise that's coming in from somewhere, but
Yeah.
not the synth. And then so now if I depatch this,
There you go.
you
Square
know,
wave.
here, square wave. So let me hit undo a whole bunch of times here. And then, you know, simple steps. There's the 3/4 version and the 4/4 version. It's fun to explore the limitations, I think, of how can you use octave fifth, I mean,
Yes.
sorry, root octave fifth and make a composition from it. So, you know, there's some very simple sounding patches in here, and there's some that are really complex.
Yeah.
Here's one that I made one of the demo songs from, and I'll call that up in a minute.
Okay.
So this is one note. You can see my hand
Yep.
playing just one note. And the mod wheel. Can you hear it makes the points
some
of
noise.
each little
Yeah.
mood. All right, that's so now, you know, I made that sound. I could vibe on that for a long time. That's just me, but I turned that into a song, which is one of the demo songs that's on the website. And let's see if this plays. Can you hear that?
Yep.
Is that playing? Okay, great. The volume seems a little low, but
It sounds pretty good.
oops.
Oh,
Okay. I tell you, I'm gonna quit this because when I'm on Zoom,
right. Yeah, you got a lot
resources
going
will
on.
come.
I
Let's see if
used
this
to have to do
plays.
the same thing all the time.
Let's see. And that noise is being brought in by Aftertouch, by the way.
Right. So cool.
Thanks.
Love the feel of that.
So just so everybody knows, like the original version, I'm gonna turn off the drums. Let's see. I don't want to turn off that. Don't want to turn off that. Okay. So my original version, just kind of sounded like this. So, you know, and this is all ARP percussion. You know, I did there we go, like an 808 kind of cowbell thing, and there's a crash and rim shot and stuff. And Skippy said, I sent him the demo. Skippy says to me, you know,
Well, here, let me play it. So I took his audio and I put it into Logic.
Oh.
And I added a few things. This is my demo. Terribly quantized because no quantize. Anyway, I added the drums and the bass. It was like,
yeah, we're on Facebook chat, right? And he sends me that, and I'm listening to it, and I really love the beginning. In fact, now that I listened to yours,
That
Like
bass, man. The
when that
bass.
bass comes in the very beginning, and it's like deep.
Yeah,
I went, yeah, a little lighter direction. I
different direction,
love
but it's
that.
cool. It's cool.
But
It's
then
cool.
once the drums start cooking, like I'm typing in the chat like um um I really didn't know how to quite break it to him that
Well, it
I
was like
like
a.
the
This was like 3 o'clock in the
vibe.
morning, and I didn't feel like trying to figure out and quantize the audio or anything like that. So I just went with it. Like you'd get the idea, and then you took it from there and turned it into this
And
awesome.
I try and this I don't know, I kind of heard this drum stuff in my head, but like turning it around the rhythmic hemiola as it's called, it was like 2:30 in the morning. I'm like, how do you do this? Oh my God, I need to the ride cymbal. Like, I can't play that fast right now. But anyway, so this is but
I
really
couldn't
more
either, clearly.
oh I finally figured it out. I was so proud of myself.
Yeah,
But
the right symbol, when the right symbol takes off on the, it's like a Erskine thing. It's like,
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
yeah,
Um,
it's great. Great, great, great.
but the real point of I think this demo and my explanation about like making sounds is come on, so where can this take you? It's uh, under normal circumstances it's just a patch. Is it gonna play? Yeah, playing B flat now. I'm leaning in, so as I lean in it gives you that extra rhythm. So you know
Yeah,
what do you do with this? Is it a novelty, or is there something compelling about it that you might want to turn into a piece of music? And
right.
um,
Well, there's so many ways. Can you show real quickly in the
yeah,
2600, say you wanted to modify that melody that it's playing. How would you do that?
right. Okay. Just want to make sure that you can see the 2600.
Yep, see it.
Okay. All right.
Let me hide my cameras.
You know what? Let's slow this down. Everybody should have their eyes pinned to the step sequencer here. All right, so 12-step sequence. You can adjust the sequence length here. Oh, okay, that reminds me. There's a patch I want to say. Okay. So I've got basically a pentatonic thing here. So
Yep.
so let's say I wanted to change this to an octave instead of the seventh.
There you go, plus
Actually,
12.
let's go up another octave. And by the way, here's a tip. I am holding down the shift key while I do this, and so like if I don't hold down the shift key, you see how the value just, it's going down in this case in 1/100th of a volt, decimal places. But if you hold down the shift, it will
Jump to
jump in
semitones.
musical in semitones.
Great.
And I think that this needs to be on. Yeah.
Yep.
So if any of you like this patch and you like the idea, but you want to shape the melody to be something else, you can, feel free to do it.
Right.
Let's
The
see what
sequencer
else.
is found right there at the bottom right. So
In fact, if I want to make it a 4-step sequence, just dial this down. If I want to do something crazy like in 5.
cool.
And by the way, the second sequencer
Yes.
is actually doing some additional pitch offset in a very small amount, and so that's why the notes changed.
Yeah. That's why it's the black stealth cable too.
Exactly, the stealth cable. You can change the color of the cable. Actually, I can't do it while I'm hosting it in Logic.
Yeah.
It's a quirk of my system, but you can select different colors for the cables.
Control click on them and change colors. Yeah.
See, this would, you could take the phase shifter off.
Yep.
Okay, so you can just see I just instinctively went for the filter, but this sound is not really coming from the filter. It's coming from this. So
Yeah.
And there's a lot going on here, but again, the idea
Yes, there's a
is
lot
if
of
you
cables. It's a little
it,
nesty.
yeah, it's a little daunting, especially to do under pressure. But
No,
so
it's cool. It's cool just to show that it's easy. These are again, they're templates, so you can go in and modify these at any time to customize them to your own liking.
yeah, I am absolutely not precious about the idea that somebody might take this patch and say, I could do better, or let me change the melody, or let me use sawtooth waves instead of square. I feel my job as a sound programmer is to inspire.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's great if you want to use a sound right out of the box. That's fine too. But my goal as a sound designer, and I think that speaks to most of us, is
yeah,
you know not to say, oh, I hope somebody uses this patch on a hit song. I mean, if that happens, great. But it's inspiration. It's a starting
right,
a starting point.
right.
And there's a all right. So there was one patch here I wanted
Oh,
to.
someone was asking about the brass. Can you show the brass patch that you played? Because it sounds so good in the mix. It sounds like you've got a
Oh,
horn
oh,
section.
those. Okay, all right. Um, so where are they? Fusion. Here we go. Okay, so these are pretty easy to autopsy. Let me just play through them. So there's one in fourths.
Right,
Here's this
right.
major seventh chords. Here's one where I just flipped one of the intervals. It's a major seven voicing, but it's tighter as compared to dun, 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 dun. So
Right.
I changed the voicing. Here's a minor seven version. This has a different character from the others.
Yes.
Let's do this one.
It's got a little squarey, phasey.
And I'm going to switch back to my keyboard view here.
Okay.
So one of the things is I wanted to be able to get crescendos
With Aftertouch.
with Aftertouch. Now the mod wheel will also do a swell, but it adds vibrato.
Right.
And I wanted them to be like really dynamic. So that was my approach to programming. So these sound kind of brassy. This one,
More vintage.
it's more vintagey,
Yeah.
but these I so let me show you what's going on here. So okay, fine. We got three oscillators, right? One, two, three. They're all sounding three notes. But the VCF, the filter output going to the amplifier is off. So where's the sound coming from? It's got to be coming from somewhere else. What I did here was I took this part of the filter. It's actually just a waveform mixer, right? So I took the output of the waveform mixer and I ran it into the other filter, the mode sweep filter, which is modeled after an Oberheim SEM
Yes.
filter. And it has this is one of the coolest things ever, I think. So normally in low pass mode, you hear how the sound sustains. It's not too bright, it's not too dark.
Yeah.
There's no hair on it, really.
Right.
But if you move this slider, this knob, what you're doing is you're crossfading between different filter responses coming from the same circuitry. You're going from low pass through notch, or BR stands for band reject, which is the same as notch,
Right.
and then all the way to high pass. So when
It's
I
so
thought
smooth. I love it.
it would be kind of cool
Just have a little bit of that.
as part of the swell when I'm leaning in on a note is to give it a little bit of hair. And the thing is, so how do you move that from Aftertouch? Well, I'll show you. Um, here's here's Aftertouch.
Yeah.
It's routed to this lag processor to sort of slow down the response a little bit.
Right.
Then the output. Now you can see the output's going to two places. This is called a mult.
Right.
One of the places it's going, follow the red cable, it's going to this parameter where you can modulate the mode. You can modulate this
Right.
crossfading
Very
knob.
powerful to have that.
Yeah, so I thought that might give, like, if somebody does decide to use this for a fusiony type of thing,
Yeah.
doing horn parts, it's a different kind of swell than the usual like brass getting from
Mm-hmm.
darker to brighter swell. This one gets it does that.
Yes.
So that's and so yeah, there are different
Now, if
voicings.
you wanted to take the voicing, let's say you're playing like call it fusion lead fourths.
Mhm.
Say that if somebody wanted to like make that so they could just play one note and be unison instead of detuned.
Right. So I'm hovering my mouse
Yep.
over the oscillator. My go-to would be the initial oscillator frequency, which is like chorus tune.
Right.
That's at zero. So you know that's not detuned because it's zero.
Right.
Um, it could be 12 or it could be like one of these octave settings, but it's at zero.
It's a
So let's
zero.
look at the next one. This one's
Ah.
up at +5.
Yep.
So I'm going to double click on that because that returns it to zero. All right, and let's look at the other one. Oh, it's up at 10. I'll
Right. So
double
those
click
were
on
your
that.
three. So you had a three voice chord from using each oscillator as a note in your chord.
Exactly. So
There you go.
now
Detune a little bit.
let's take the chorusing off here and the delay.
Say you wanted the third oscillator to be higher, like an octave
Oh,
up.
okay. So here's another little tip. If you hold down Shift and
Uh-huh.
you move the initial frequency sliders, they will
Jump by octaves.
advance in
Cool.
octaves.
There you go.
And part of the kind of the horn-ish quality of the sound comes from the fact that I am the attack is a little bit slow. It doesn't speak right away. Takes a minute or a couple of milliseconds rather. And so let's see. Let's bring this one up now for other intervals like like a fifth up. A fifth up would be 7. So let's do 7. How about it would have to be 12 plus 7 is 19. And I'm double clicking on the fine tune sliders to get them to a starting point that's not wobbly. You can balance the different notes by just. So yeah, this patch, all the patches,
Yes.
whether they're my patches or anyone else's, they all started out as patches from scratch.
Yes.
So by taking the oscillators back to unison, it sounds pretty ordinary, but by making some little changes, you can make them, take them to a whole other place.
Yes. That's the whole point. So it's beautiful.
Right.
Thank you. This has been fun.
Oh, wow. What time is it?
It's been an hour, man. We've been having a good time. I'm going to do a comparison here. People are asking to hear the other 2600s as a comparison.
Okay.
So, I mean, we could keep doing all day long on program.
I had no idea an hour blew by.
No,
Wow.
that's how fun it is. I mean, you start talking about this stuff and it's a passion. So
Actually think that maybe my coffee would still be warm.
there's a clue right there. Time has passed. So, well, thank you, man. Thank you so
Hey.
much for doing this. And it's great. And I don't think this is our last library together. So we'll keep looking at other fun ways to explore sound. And
That would be awesome.
yeah, yeah,
Thank you for being willing to distribute these sounds. Thank you
of
for
course.
everybody who's attended this little presentation. Um, I I hope you get the library and you find inspiration from it.
Yep.
Even if you do modify my existing program, that would be fine. It's meant to inspire and to make music with. So
Beautiful.
thanks again.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Hey, does anybody have questions? Let's leave it up and just for a second.
Yeah.
If there's any questions, pop them up. Oh, one question someone had. I have the. Is there a opacity for the cables? If you wanted to hide them, is there a? Did they ever put in a hide button like some? You know, I don't think so, right?
No, but what there is, no, there isn't.
You have the color settings for the. If you go to
color
settings.
settings, yeah. Oh, that hot dog stand, it changes them all to either mustard or ketchup.
I know, it's really funny, but yeah, there is no setting for the opacity of the faders or the cables and stuff like that.
I will let me say this. There have been maybe 2 occasions where I thought, I'd really like just to clear out the cables so I can see what's going on. But the cable colors are translucent enough
Yeah,
that
you can still read behind them.
you can read behind them. There have been a couple of occasions where, like if I have a lot of mults, I'll probably make it blow up. Let me just do this. Like a couple of occasions where I had like such dense, no, I can't do that.
Oh
You
wait,
know,
I'm not showing you the screen.
like it gets really spaghetti like, and something's in the way. So you know what? I just move the cable out of the way
Well, we're not showing
temporarily.
your screen right now, anyhow, so
Oh,
it's all good.
don't, that's like rookie mistake number
No, no,
one.
no, no. It happens all the time.
All right, here. Okay, I'll do it again.
Okay.
All right. So here we go. This is the hot dog stand variation.
Ah, there you go.
Okay, um, okay, and here's another color combination. So yeah, so like I was saying, I can barely count on one hand the number of times when I really felt like I'd like to clear the cable so I can see what's going on.
Yeah.
When things get really dense, which will happen, especially with some of the let's see, this one. If things are getting really dense, and I really need to see, oh, what does that label say? Or what's this? I'll just click and hold and drag the cable out of the way if I
Right.
really need to read, and then I just put it back. Or even if I accidentally
Delete
make the
it. There's an
cable go
undo,
away,
right?
undo,
Yeah.
we're back.
Yeah. It
So
has multiple levels of undo, right? So
yeah, it's kind of insane how many levels of undo. So yeah, I mean, I completely understand
yeah.
the sentiment of wanting to be able to hide the cables, but I just haven't actually found a need for it in
In
uh
real world use, you've got
many,
ways.
many, 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 many months
Yes.
of programming
Yeah.
this.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. This has been I
Sure.
think a lot of these guys are appreciating a little education, a little substance besides just playing the patches, but we want to do that too. So we're going to, let's see, get this a little, I've been zooming in on the window so that we could get the 2600 to fill up the whole screen.
Ah,
So I'll have to reset everything once we get back to the next stage, but thank you again, dude. Very
hey,
fun.
thank you, and thanks again, everyone, for attending.
Yes. All right. I'm going to move Peter over here, and Peter, I'll talk to you in a bit. Cheers, brother. Okay.
All right, thank you.
See you, brother. Bye. Awesome. Awesome. So fun. He's such a, I have been a friend with Pete. I mean, he has been at Korg trips to Japan, and he's got the sweetest spirit and just a wonderful person and loves to explore sound and has a unique perspective on it. And so it's really great that he was able to do this and get something really creative for everybody to enjoy. So that power pack is at the pluginguru.com website. Right here, if you go to the pluginguru.com website, if you hit home, I haven't updated the products list and stuff like that, but it's the first thing to show up, and you just click it and it will go to, oh, I missed it. So go back here and click, and then you are at the power pack to pick it up. Okay. Now there's also a unified version of this plugin. So if you have Unify running, let's see if I go over here and go to Logic and go over here and say Unify. Let's see, I gotta actually go over here, right here. Unify, where are you at? We have the ARP 2600, all 184 factory patches, because there's some templates and other things in the library available as a power pack, or as a just a unified library. It's its own power pack, the factory patches. But the fun thing with Unify is you can set Unify layer, and now layer 3 of these patches to play with. It's really nice. So thank you, Shane, for helping unify the library. He has all these wonderful tools that help save the patches quickly and get the data so that there are tags. The authors are all listed that worked on the patches. It's really nice. The link is in the video description to download this. I have not yet updated. I will do it after the live stream on the Unify page at our website. If you scroll down past all this information, you get to the overview, and then right here starts the list. It's over 100 plugins long now, of plugins that we have unified all the factory patches to, that are able to be loaded. Phase plants here. I mean, so many plugins, so that you can have literally over 100,000 patches inside of Unify that you are layering and stacking and playing with and letting them interact in cool, fun, creative ways. It's good stuff. So let's do a comparison really quick. I still have another plugin to show you from the Crow Hill company that's really interesting. But first, let me show you just real quickly a comparison between the 3 different 2600 plugins. Now, they're each different. They each are on their own really cool. I'm going to just give you let's do this. Let's go to the 2600 library and call up this init performance. And then I want to be a sawtooth, so I click the saw wave, and right here's the mixer section going into the filter. So if I plug in here, I am overriding the square wave with a, and then I'm going to go to the trim pots, because they have, I think, the internal processing, they wanted to give it a lot of headroom. So you can crank it on this trim pots like plus 10 dB. And now it will compare with, let's do this. Let's call it one oscillator square. And if I want it to be the sawtooth, same concept. You have to grab the sawtooth and cable it over here to VCO1. Okay. And then cherry audio. And basic saw. So we're going to call it just basic. Now, the place to check first is the filter itself. Hear how this, like, there's nothing whatsoever here. And you hear the bloom, and then the resonance. This resonance can become almost irritating on the cherry audio one. If we go to the 2600 from Arturia, here's a filter. It has more. And resonance. Now they have the ADSR connected, so I'm going to turn that off. Right, and then here is the 2600 from Korg. So hear how smooth that is? It's the most buttery version. There's no stepping whatsoever. And the resonance. Hear how it's musical? Even Max. Hear how it's interacting with the oscillator itself. If you do that on the others, they don't take that into account the same way at all. It's just this thing over the top of the sound. It's in there a little bit, but it's clearly very different. And the Cherry Audio, it's nice, but just like guitars, they're different. So when you get to the actual basic patches, if we say, like, if we go to favorites, so you play just, let's go all presets and just go through and play something. Here's the Cherry Audio vibe. I mean, there's nothing wrong with these patches, of course. Especially for the price of the Cherry Audio plugins. Okay, so let's go to the Arturia and let's go to like all and like play through some of the patches. Here you got to do some up and down mapping to see some of the stuff. There's cool patches. There's no doubt about it. But then you go to the Korg. Let's do just the factory voices, not even here. Let's just go by names. Now, if you go to the main page, right down here is where you can change polyphony in the bottom right corner. So I could say 8 voices. But can you tell a difference? This is not hyped up. If you play 2600, it doesn't jump into your face. Sounds like a 70s Rush album, you know? Hear all that distortion? So they're different. Right? So, they're all great. They're all synthesizers, but this is the closest to the real hardware that you can get. And it's closer than I think anybody has ever got with any plugin to date. I'm happy to say that it's still my plugin of the year, as far as to the one that does the coolest stuff and sounds like the organicness of it is just really cool. So, really cool. Love it. Love the vibe. Hope that helped you guys a little bit with the comparing. I have one more plugin to show you. Let's see what you guys are saying. Yeah. Of course, my pleasure. I'm happy to Barry to show what he can do. That's really good stuff. So there's one more plugin on the list I wanted to show you guys today. Our friends at Crow Hill were kind enough to send me over Concussion Drums. And this is a really cool plugin. I must admit, it's really, really cool. So let me show you, make sure that this is inside so you can see it. Okay. Let's see. Is there anything else I want to get going on here? My webcam is a little dark today, but that's fine. It's kind of the moody, vibey version. So concussion drums is cinematic drums, but you know, cinematic can be used in anything these days, especially if you go to some of these additional banks like the Dread rhythm, like this stuff here. There's a couple of these kits that are just the thing that's cool with this is that it has 8 different zones that can be any one of all sorts of different concert drums, traditional cymbal. If you go concert, there's Gran Casa, tenor drums, rototoms, octobans. They got a hammer. They got traditional drums, which is like the taikos, djembes, badrans, frame drums, congas, bongos, cajones, sticks, cymbals. Metal is really cool. So they have all these different categories that you can give each of these 8 different possible slots and then give them key ranges. So here they're set up color coded so that the green is the PVC pipe. So if you go to the second page, you'll see that now they have a mixer. So I can go to the PVC pipe. I can make it really close, or I can make it far away in the mix. Augment is a type of you have pitch, focus. When you get to this other page here, now you get into effects. There's a sub, air, low pass or high pass filtering, push, transient designer, and it's a nutty transient designer, and bloom. And then they have effects, and here they have delay, space. There's a smash on the output, which you can turn off. So you can create, you know, more traditional sounds, but what I found is really cool is when you go to these playgrounds and some of these big, they did it like an ensemble of 8 players too, so. Go to the low toms and multiple sample velocities and round robins. Play the same note. Flams, rolls. And then this orange section up here, this is available all the time. This does this really cool remix thing where if you play a key, it will repeat, freeze. So whatever you play, it will freeze. There's slam, delays, just. And you can use all these things in combination. So if you want to make weird sounds and so forth, it's really, really well laid out. All the cool cymbals. Ride cymbals. But the playground is where they like started like all these. Oh, there's one other section of sounds that I didn't really cover, and that's strings. So not only is there all this other stuff, but if we go to, let's see, ensemble, do they have the strings down here? Here's your traditionals like the Badhan. Really, really cool. Again, ways to control the sounds and so forth. But the strings, how do I get to the strings? Tonal, here we go, strings. And if you want, you can just go over here to like an empty one. Click here. Let's say we wanted to add a Gran Casa strikes. So we've added it. We got to turn it on, and we should change the key range to be the whole keyboard just for fun. So now I've put drums. And then you could go to another layer and you could turn this on and say, I wanted this to be like maybe some sort of big taikos, strikes. And I want them only for the upper half of the keyboard. So I'm going to say from F2 to the top range. So this way there's... So you can build up all these really cool things. Let me show you, there's 2 bonus packs. There's Beast Mode, which is, and then this is from, what's his name? Snakes of Russia, I believe. We're just layering all this stuff in here and distorting it. So if you need extreme percussion, so he's got the PVC pipe, Bartok strings, and cane. Very cool. I mean, it's that vibe. It's fight. Stop. Just by velocity. You can turn on dynamics. So it's really cool. If you right click the range, you can just, yeah, I tried that. Right click. I saw them do this in their video where they could click the right click here, and it doesn't work on my computer for some reason. I thought it worked, but it's done. Hi, Vendor. It's good to see you. But the velocity control is just wonderful. You know, to do all that from one map that you can call up and modify. So it's fun. Put some gating on this and have other tracks with stuff around it. Good stuff. So if you need alternate percussion, sounds like a squirrel trying to escape from a traffic. Yeah. Here's Naughty. And nice. Fun stuff. So, if you need something different, really, really cool. So, be aware of that being a new plugin that is worth getting a mention in a Plugin Guru live stream because it's really cool. Any questions? we're about to wrap up for this afternoon. I'm glad to see all of you back. It's been fun to hang out. I'm sorry about last week. My mom is struggling with some health issues, and I needed to be focused more there than here. And so I wanted to spend some time. She had surgery this week. She's doing better. She has an infection from a surgery from 4 weeks ago, and it's just, hopefully everything goes well. I'm going to go see her and bring some dominoes and cards so we can have a good time. So thank you all for joining us. Again, if you need inspiring patches for the ARP 2600 or any of the synthesizers in our catalog, we have lots of libraries, the Unify libraries. One quick teaser. I'll give you a teaser of something I'm working on. I've got a bit of work to do on it still, but it's coming out really, really cool. I'm working on a library. I've given myself a name, and then I'm making a library based on the name. It's called Eternal Flow. And it's kind of like, okay, you're going to be weird to me. Okay. Oh, okay. I might have to... Logic just froze up on me, so... Maybe I won't show you. Because I don't think I can even get to the volume. Yeah, Logic is just messed up. Well, I will show you next week, and maybe we'll make some stuff in that library direction. It's really, really cool. It's kind of like, I'm trying to do something like the wave sequence-esque vibe with motion. Coming with some really, really cool stuff. So we'll play with that next week. That'll give us something to do next week instead of being a teaser. So thank you all. Let's do our shout outs. I want to see where in the world everybody is hanging out from. So shout out. Let me do a shout out here myself. Next week then. Yeah. That was the real tease. Shout out from Eagle, Idaho. Thank you, David. I appreciate that. Yeah, she's going to pull through. She's resting. Denver, good to see you, Tom, my friend. Antwerp, look at that. I'll be on time. You know, it happens, man. So I'm late sometimes too myself. Shout out from Milwaukee, from Mark in Little Rock. Good to see you, man. Welcome. Todd, good to see you in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Helsinki, Finland. Washington, Germany. Colorado. I love it. Kasaka-san is here. Arigato gozaimashita. Domo. Good to see you. Arizona. Right on, Peaches. Mark Phillips in Colorado. I'm going to be heading out to Colorado, I think, for Fall Color. I think that's September. Like middle of September. So I want to go to Telluride. That's my plan. Shout out from Da Vinci Girl in Germany, London for Selenita. Good to see you all. Bill in North Carolina. Good. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for being an awesome crew. You guys are always around, and I appreciate getting to hang out and say hi. All right. So have a great week. Productive, all that kind of stuff. If you need inspiring patches, plugingoo.com. We got you covered. Thank you to Peter Schwartz. Ski, my brother, thank you for doing this with us and releasing such a great power pack of patches for the 2600. And we will see you next week. Cheers, everybody. Have a super creative week. All right. We'll see you later.